Welcome back to INF People. Today I'll be talking a little more in depth about introverted feeling. I talked a little bit about it in my first video, but didn't really go like deep dive into it. I'm finally out in nature today, so I want to see how this shooting goes. There's a little creek behind me, so you might be able to hear that. But we'll see how this video quality is, and I might reshoot it in my house if it's too hard to hear. But so today we'll be talking about introverted feeling, the dominant function of the INFP and the ISFP. And like I said before, I feel like with introverted feeling, it's difficult to put into words. So I'll just kind of talk about how it manifests in my life or how I use it, like some examples. Because with feelings in general, you can't really put a word on it, like angry or sad or happy, and even like more nuanced words like lament or joyous or something like that. Like even these words don't get at exactly what you're feeling on the inside, or the way something feels to a person. So I always notice that when I'm looking at like writing or videos on the different functions, the one about introverted feeling tends to be like the shorest one, like either the shortest video or have the least amount of text when I'm reading something about it. And I don't know if it's because it's just not very well understood, or if it's because you just can't really put this thing into words, the way introverted feeling feels, the way it is, like how it works. But so today I just want to talk a little bit about it. Not that my perspective will be any better than the ones that I've seen before, but I just want to put some more things out there for people, for all the introverted feelers out there who are trying to see like how other people use it, or how it manifests in other people's lives. So that's what this video will be about. So for me, so in general, introverted feeling has to do with feelings and emotions and taste. That's one of the big things that sometimes I don't see people say, but sometimes I do hear people talk about taste when they talk about introverted feeling. I think that's a big part of it, because it has to do with like what you like or what you dislike, or what you are attracted to or repulsed by. So that's something that I'm always thinking about, and no matter where I am, no matter what kind of situation I'm in, I'm always thinking about like how I feel about this situation, or how I feel about this person, or how I feel about what somebody just said, or anything, whatever it is, like how I feel about maybe some like a new technology that comes out, or how it affects people's lives. Like I'm always thinking about if it's something that I like, or if I dislike, or if it's good, or if it's bad. And even the good and bad has to do with what I personally like and dislike. Like I don't have introverted feelers don't have a monopoly on like good and evil or right and wrong, but that's something that we're very concerned with. But I think a lot of it has to do with our tastes, like our personal tastes, what we are personally attracted to or repulsed by. And so this is something that is constantly going on. And as opposed to extroverted feeling, which is more concerned with breath, like all the extroverted functions are, it's concerned with like the external world. So it manifests with them as a sort of, their feelings are, or not their feelings, but they kind of absorb the feelings around them of others. So they're very concerned with other people's feelings. My wife is an extroverted feeler, and for them, they kind of have to be, or for them to feel good, the people around them have to feel good. So that's why they tend to be very concerned with other people's feelings. But for an introverted feeler, our feelings are our own. So the feelings of the people in the room, although I have a good sense of the feeling atmosphere wherever I am, like I can sense it, like what people are feeling, what's going on, but those feelings don't necessarily, those other people's feelings don't necessarily affect me, unless I want them to, unless I go, okay, I'm gonna mirror this person's feelings and put myself in their shoes, and then I can feel what they're feeling very deeply. But I don't have to. It's not something that, for like an extroverted feeler, they just absorb it automatically. But for me, the other people's feelings don't affect my own feelings. So people around me can be very upset or sad, and I would just be fine. Or people around me can be really happy, and I could be upset because it's my own feeling. Like it's what's inside, and it's what's going on with me. I'm concerned with regulating and thinking about my own feelings. And so one of the ways that this has manifested in my life is that sometimes introverted feelers can be seen as sort of like cold or aloof and be mistyped as thinking types because we don't really express our feelings the way an extroverted feeler does. And I think one of the reasons that is, for at least for me, is that when it comes to empathy, like I can empathize with people very well. I can almost feel exactly what they're feeling almost, but it doesn't always happen in real time. So what I mean is, for an extroverted feeler, whatever feeling is in their atmosphere, they are absorbing that, like in real time, right as it's happening. But for me, I can pick up on the feelings that are happening, but I don't feel that feeling unless I want to. And it's often that I don't mirror those people's feelings until I'm reflecting by myself later. And then I'll think like, okay, what was that person feeling in that moment? Like what was going on with them? And then I'll feel that feeling very intense and think like, oh man, yeah, so that's what is going on, and like feel very empathetic and compassionate for that person, like if they were going through something difficult. But in the moment, I can't mirror everybody's feelings. Not that I don't have the ability to, but it would just be too overwhelming, because as introverted feelers, we feel things so intensely. If we were mirroring everyone around us at all times, it would just be too much. We wouldn't be able to handle it. So in my life, I'm a night owl. I like to stay up late. I always am up later than everybody in the house, no matter where I am. Like with my family, my wife and my kid, they always go to sleep way before me, because I like to have that time at night when it's quiet and peaceful, and I can just be alone in my own thoughts and reflect on my day. And I'm reflecting with my introverted feeling. So what I do is I think about all the things, like all the interactions I've had that day, all the way other people reacted to me or to each other, the way people interacted, and I kind of mirror their feelings then, and I'll think and then I'll understand how people were feeling at a given time or in a certain situation that happened that day. And so I think that sometimes I can come off as like, if I'm just in a situation where, or if I'm just like in a group setting, I think I just come off as kind of just reserved and just relaxed, laid back, but not like necessarily like feeling or like caring about other people's feelings or something like that. But I do care very deeply, but it's just that it's not happening at that moment. So for example, this is something I reflect on every night, is like my interactions with my son. He's 4 years old, and so I always think like how, or each night I'll think about like how I could do better the next day as a father, basically. So I'll think about all our interactions and then mirror his feelings, because I can remember what it was like being a 4-year-old, and like how I felt about my dad, and like how much I cared about his approval and his attention and everything like that. So I'll think about how I was then and mirror that emotion to my son, and then realize like when I did something wrong or when I made the wrong decision. And it's like a very intense sort of thing. Like, so like I said, we're always concerned with like good and bad, or good and evil even, or right and wrong, or like making the right choices, the choices that feel right for us, that align with our values and our personal value system. So So every day, so this is an example of something that happened yesterday when I was reflecting last night. It was something that might seem minor, but so my son was playing a video game that I got, a game that I play, and so he's been playing it now, Kingdom Hearts, and he wanted to show me something that he had done on there, and I was upstairs in my room working on something, like one of my creative projects, and he was saying like, "Hey Dad, come see this thing that I did on the game," or he got something new, or he got to a new world or something like that. And I was just like, "Well, Sky, I've already played that game." And my son's name is Sky. I was like, "Sky, I've already played that game. Like, I've already seen all the stuff that there is, so it's okay, but good job." And I just kind of like didn't go, take the time to go downstairs and see what he wanted to show me, because at the moment it didn't seem like it was very important. And I mean, in the grand scheme of the universe, or even his life and our lives, it wasn't that important. But he just, he just walked back downstairs and seemed a little bit disappointed. And I didn't really notice it as much at the time. But then that night, when I was reflecting on my day, I was thinking about the way he looked when he left, and how I would feel if I wanted to show my dad something back then that I thought was important to me. And that's the thing, like, it doesn't matter if it's important in reality or in an objective sense. What matters is that it was important to him at the time, and that's what I missed that day, is that he wanted to show me that thing, and it was important to him, and that's why he was disappointed when I didn't go down there and see it. So last night I was thinking about that, and just thinking like, I can't believe I like failed my son at that moment, and like I'm just thinking about like how I need to be a better father and stuff like that. And sorry, there's some bugs out here, but I'd still rather be in nature though, but it's okay. But so yeah, I was just thinking about, or like, so when I'm reflecting by myself and I can be with myself and my own feelings, I can really intensely feel like the way other people are feeling. And that is the introverted feeling. That's the mirroring aspect of introverted feeling. Like, that's how we're empathetic, because we can put ourselves in other people's shoes and almost experience what they're experiencing. And I think that has to do also, I'm not sure how it works with an ISFP, because I'm not an ISFP, so I don't know how they feel their introverted feeling. But I think for an INFP, it has to do with the FISI loop, so the introverted feeling, introverted sensing, because I'll go back and recall the past with my introverted sensing, but it's not that I'm recalling the details of the situation, like what things look like, or what they like sensual input. I'm not thinking about like how the smells or the sounds or the sights, like how things look, but I'm thinking about how I recall the feeling aspects of it, like how I felt, how the other person must have felt, and then recall that moment so that I can put myself completely in the other person's shoes. And that is where like the INFP empathy comes from, and in the IS, that's where the introverted feeling empathy comes from, basically. So it has to do with mirroring. And I think that, well, I don't know, I guess some introverted feelers might mirror more in real time, but I don't. I tend not to, because it's too draining for me. Like, I have to have my alone time so I can do that and be empathetic and be compassionate for people. And so yeah, that's how it kind of works for me. I'm not sure how it works for every person, but so I just wanted to give you guys my perspective on that. So, and also something that happens is that when I'm mirroring someone, or when I'm using my introverted feeling as a way to empathize, if I haven't experienced something that's close to what the other person is experiencing, it's more difficult for me to mirror their emotion. So an extroverted feeler will just take in that emotion, or those feelings that are in the air, in the atmosphere around them. No matter what it is, whether they've gone through that or not, they just absorb it. But for me, and it might also have something to do with my introverted sensing, they're cataloging the past. if I haven't had a similar experience, I have a much harder time being empathetic with whatever that person is going through. Like in general, I think I'm a compassionate person, so like I can sympathize even if I haven't experienced it, but I can't delve deeply into that emotion like that with the intensity of introverted feeling normally. So with my son, since I've been a boy, a 4-year-old boy, a 3-year-old boy, like however old he's been, like I can mirror his emotions almost completely all the time because I know what he's gone through, because I know what I've gone through, and so I know what he's going through. But sometimes with my wife, I have a harder time mirroring her emotion because I don't know what it's like to be a woman, or I don't know what it's like to be a wife. So I can't put myself in her shoes as much as I can with my son or with people who I've been in more similar situations. So even though as an INFP I tend to be an empathetic person, it doesn't always work in my marital relationship. Like, and I think that might be part of the reason that INFPs sometimes have marital problems, because they can't mirror that whole other thing, or that whole, like the other gender, or people. I mean, everybody has emotions, everybody has feelings, and they're similar to a certain extent, but the way we experience the world, for better or worse, it has to do with our gender, like our role in society, because of whether we're a man or a woman. So the things that, and I empathize with women, like I'm a feminist, I believe in, I believe in the equality between the sexes and everything like that. But it's more, that's stemming more from my general belief in equality. So when I talk about like my ruling principles, I think most of my principles stem from a belief in equality, that equality is just and good, and then everything else kind of stems from that. So my being a feminist is more an extension of that, because I think that men and women should be equal. Different in my like the different races should be equal, and like my support of like LGBT rights and things like that. It all stems from my core belief in equality, and that's part of my introverted feeling. That's one of my main values as an introverted feeling, even if the rest of society doesn't necessarily believe in equality in that way, especially right now with what's going on in the world with like a lot of stuff that's going on. But so yeah, but I can't always mirror the emotional state of my wife, even though I wish I could. There would probably be a lot less problems in our marriage. Not that we have like a bunch of problems, but there would be even less. Yeah, so there would be a lot less problems if I could accurately mirror all of her feelings all the time. But I mean, not that I don't, and not that I don't try. When I'm reflecting at night, I'm always thinking about like how I can be a better husband, what I can do the next day to be better. Not that I always follow through with those things, but I'm always thinking about it. And then I think that has to do with like my weak extroverted thinking, that even though I'm concerned with all these things, like the way people feel, I don't always act on that. But in my own behavior, I try to. I'm always considerate of others and other people's feelings and their wishes and things like that. So, like I was saying before, I'd make a conscious effort not to step on people's toes and stuff. But a lot of times with my the conflicts that arise from me and my wife, it's always about what I didn't do. So like I didn't do the dishes, or I didn't do whatever it is. Like, and I that's the kind of thing that happens with that. But it's never that I did something wrong, because I'm always conscious of not doing anything wrong to people, or not. I'm always conscious of being good to other people. So I would never do something to another person that would be like offensive to them or something like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about like how I experience introverted feelings. I might make more videos about it, because I just think there's a lot to it, and it's a very like deep thing, like or not a deep thing, but like the feeling goes deep within yourself. So I think that I don't know, that there should just be more on introverted feeling in general, like more resources out there about like what it is. And so yeah, so that's why I wanted to make this video, just to talk about like how it manifests in my life a little bit. But yeah, so thanks for watching. This one's getting a little bit long, so I think I'll cut it short here. Thanks for watching, all the INF people out there and all the other people out there. See you guys next time. Peace and love.